Before we hit the road on today's discussion, I want to take time to thank some of our sponsors. These are Next Gen Trucking Advocates, and that's Averett, DHL, Fusion Now, Gordon Food Service, and KKW. Thank you for your support. Without it, we could not do all of the things that we do every day to connect the next generation to careers in the trucking industry. Hey, welcome to NGT Talks. And I'm excited, as usual, to have a Gen Zer in the trucking industry on NGT Talks today. Addison, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Addison works for Grand Island Express, which is a founding member of Next Gen Trucking. And Addison, tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into the trucking industry.
Yeah, so I am 26 years old. I graduated college 4 years ago. I had a good friend that was in a recruiting position at Grand Island Express, and she reached out after I graduated and asked if I had any job lined up. And so I told her no at the time. And she's like, would you like to meet with our operational director? And I said, sure. I came from a background of business management in college. And so I was like, well, sure. It's experience, interview experience. And so I decided to go on the interview and had really no idea about the trucking industry, no background knowledge at all. And so went on that interview and decided that he offered me a position as a fleet manager / dispatcher. And I said, sure, because again, I had no idea, but I knew I needed to get into something. And it's a small family owned company. I did a walkthrough, got to know some people there. It's based in my hometown, Grand Island, out of Nebraska. And so decided to roll with it. And I've been there for 4 years now. 4 years, it'll be 4 years in August. And I went from a fleet manager / dispatcher to being the optimal solution specialist, which is like full-time dispatching.
That is awesome. So before you got into the trucking industry, what did you think about it? Did you ever even think about the trucking industry?
Not really. That was one of my interview questions is like, what do you think of when you go about trucking and stuff? And, the only thing I knew of at the time was, being on the interstate and driving by semi trucks. Sometimes they have a bad reputation and stuff, but I had no clue of what the whole industry was all about until I really just dove into it.
Yeah, and you're from a really unique little area in Nebraska. Tell us a little bit about Grand Island, because I think it is a unique community in the Midwest.
Yeah. So most people think that we live on an island. That is not the case. So it roughly we got lots of different schools. We have Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D. And, never once was there any classes about logistics or supply chain opportunities for sure. And so didn't really know about the supply chain until college. I didn't even know about Grand Island Express until after I graduated college. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else you want to know about Grand Island. I don't have a lot of like stats, I guess.
Outside experience.
On Grand Island.
So you guys are a family-owned company. What do you think about
Mhm.
working for a family-owned company? Because I always think it's pretty special to be in a family-owned company, in a community where they really care and give back.
Yeah. So, very, um, very, very family oriented. I think we're on our third generation owner right now. We are we're small. We have a fleet size of about 170 trucks. Um, we do a lot of stuff within our, operations, within a lot of our company as far as team bonding. It's very easy to talk to each other, especially upper management, which is not always something you find. But we have an open door policy. Drivers are able to walk in and ask us questions, talk to us. So it's very open door, it's very friendly. And I think that's probably the best part about being a family owned company.
Yeah, absolutely. So your job sounds really interesting. What exactly is, you said it's an optimal dispatcher?
Yeah. So my title is Optimal Solutions Specialist. And so basically, what I do is I work alongside an AI system that is Optimal Dynamics. And so, what it basically does is it does automation dispatching for me. And I go into the system and I scan through it and go ahead and plan or assign drivers to each load. And so basically, like how I like to describe it is before we had optimal dynamics, we had roughly like 5 fleet managers, and we were all part of a role as far as dispatching and managing a our own little fleet of the total 175 drivers. And so now with this optimal dynamics, instead of having 5 different managers dispatch, you have this one system that does all the dispatching for us. And then I go in and I look at it and say, this looks good. It makes sense. I have to be very detail oriented. Do the times look right? Do the locations look right? Um, does this does the driver have hours of service to do this? And I'll go ahead and assign it. And so once I assign it, then it gets sent over to the fleet managers, and they're the ones that are kind of doing the one-on-one talk with the drivers. Hey, does this look good? Does this work for your schedule? If it does, easy as that, they get it sent out, and we move on to the next driver. And so before Optimal Dynamics came in, I was probably dispatching maybe 1/10 of our loads. So basically, now I'm doing the whole entire company as a whole.
Wow, that seems like a lot, but with the system and AI, I'm sure that it's really helped just streamline and simplify things.
Yes, absolutely. It has. It's made our company be way more efficient than it has in the past.
That's incredible. Do you have to know geography as a dispatcher? Or I guess you probably learned it along the way.
Yeah, you definitely learn it along the way. I mean, it helps to know where places are, your cities, your states, for sure. And then depending on your company and where you guys run and where your freight's out of, because most of our freight is out of Nebraska and it all goes to the East Coast. So we don't really go anything past Nebraska, at least west. So we just stick to that half of the state or the US basically. So yeah, it does definitely help, but again, you'll learn along the way. You'll learn different state or cities that you go to a lot, and then you'll just kind of recognize stuff as things come up, as far as locations for sure.
And how often are you interacting with other people? Because it sounds like, you have a little bit of a desk job, but are you also interacting and talking to people?
Yes, all the time, all the time. It is very a being a dispatcher, working in the office, it's very team oriented. You are constantly relying on others to do their job because it affects your job. So it's kind of a trickle down effect. Like what I do affects the fleet managers or planners, and what they do affects my job and somebody else's job. So we're all somewhat intertwined in operations.
Yeah. So it sounds like a really good, well-rounded job for somebody that wants to work with people, but also wants to do some computer work. And you said you have to be extremely organized, right, for your job? Detail
Yes.
oriented.
Yeah, it would be helpful for sure.
Yeah. Well, so what do you think the most challenging part about being a dispatcher is?
Probably the most challenging part is you're not going to make everybody happy, right? That's like with any
Yeah.
job, when you're working with people, working with customers, especially drivers, you're not going to make everybody happy. And so learning how to manage people's emotions and how to motivate people. I definitely think that's probably some of the most challenging part of just being any type of customer service company.
Yeah. And that's hard for me. I'm a people pleaser. So I would really have to rein in my people pleasing in order to do what's best, right, for the job and the role. And so that is what a great thing to learn, though, especially at a young age, and how to manage and motivate and to help just form those expectations for the drivers. That's so interesting. So as a Gen Zer, what do you think your generation is looking for in a career?
This is a topic that TCA, Truckload Carriers Association, talks about, because we have this group that is called the Elevate class. And so that was one of the questions they asked us, because it's a young leadership class or organization, and it's a lot of young leaders within the trucking industry. And that was one of the questions of how what Gen Zers want. How do we find hardworking young people to get into our industries? And honestly, I think talking with the other members of the group, we came to a consensus of, we want to be respected just like anybody else. We want to work hard. We want to have flexibility. And we want opportunities to grow. We want opportunities to be pushed. And even like this Elevate class, I think just like this was an opportunity that I probably would have never thought of, but was able to be nominated for it, and then be able to network with other people my age that go through some of the same struggles within the industry. So flexibility, respect, and then opportunities to grow.
Yeah, that is so interesting, and I hear that a lot. So the TCA Elevate is a group, a subset within the Truckload Carriers Association, and you have to apply, be nominated to actually get to sit in this class that's a year long. What have you learned from this, the TCA Elevate group, and what's been some of the best things to come out of it?
Oh gosh. The experience itself has been such a great learning opportunity. It's pushed me out of my comfort zone. I've been able to go to some of the TCA conferences, and I've learned so much by sitting in workshops and seminars, and just to, I guess, I've learned a lot working at Grand Island Express, but then you go and you talk to other companies and you meet other people and you network. I would say networking has been huge, a huge opportunity, and probably the best thing to come out of it. But just being able to listen and learn from other people on different areas within the company, listen to other people's struggles and successes. and things that you would have never thought of just, being in the office sometimes. So it's been a great experience. We're halfway through it. We actually get to go to some cool places. We actually, in September, we get to go to Washington, D.C. at the Call on Washington and sit in on that and stuff. And so definitely have made some great connections as well. I've made definitely lifelong relationships through other companies. And that's definitely been the best thing that's been a part of it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love to network. And it's so great when you can build relationships with people. And then when somebody asks you something, you're like, I don't know, but I know somebody that can help with that. Or it's just a great connecting point to be able to interweave the industry and the people that you know and what you've learned. And I think that we all need to learn that networking inside our organization and outside the organization is a really good thing to help just strengthen our community and our skill set. So I love to hear that that's been such a great part of the Elevate group. Why do you think more young people should consider a career in the trucking industry? I mean, you knew nothing about it, but what's kept you there for 4 years?
The opportunities that keep arising. I think there is so much room for growth. There is constantly a new position or a new challenge or a different area that you can learn more of. I just didn't realize, I think going into the trucking industry, I just thought you had to be a truck driver. There is so much more within the trucking industry than I would have ever imagined, as far as opportunities to grow, for sure.
Yeah, and even for drivers and diesel technicians, there are so many ways to grow because you can, if I'm in a room of 50 safety professionals and I say, how many of you started off as a driver? Raise your hand. I would say like 85% raise their hand, started off as a driver. Just like being a diesel technician. I mean, if you want to become a service manager, it's more advantageous if you've been a diesel technician. And so the opportunities for growth and a career path are just incredible in the industry.
Yeah. And one thing that I think is funny about that too is every time we go to a conference or we get together, I think one of the things that I hear some of the older people say is like, once I got into the trucking industry, I never left because the friendships you make along the way, again, the opportunities there are, it's definitely plentiful. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool and it speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's really interesting trying to describe the trucking industry. It's a big, small industry, right? We
Yes. Yeah.
know a lot of us know each other, and which is so amazing that when you try to describe it to a friend, I don't think they can still get all of how just interconnected our industry is and how much we support each other. They might be competitors, but we're still supporting them and hoping the best. And we have relationships with our competitors. So there's so many ways for best practices and learning. It's a very unique industry. And I also think all the people are wonderful. In general, the people care about what we do and they're just nice. That's one of the great,
definitely passionate.
Passionate. Yeah. I mean, it's a great industry. So what would you say to somebody your age who thinks trucking is just about driving? I mean, that's what people always think, but it's not.
No. Nope, it's definitely not. There's so many other parts to the puzzle than just driving. Driving obviously is a critical role, but you can't do it without your operational staff. You can't do it without your customer service staff, who the people that are reaching out to get loads. You can't do it without your salespeople knowing what numbers to keep the companies rolling and stuff. So there's so much more to the industry than just being a truck driver.
Yeah. And so where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh gosh. I don't know. One thing that I think speaks a lot about our company, and we have a mix of some young people like my age in their 20s, and then you have a great mix of some older people that could be our parents, like 50-year-olds, and they make jokes all the time. You're younger than my son or daughter and whatnot, and they've all been there since they were like my age. They've been there for 15 to 25 years, and so I think that speaks for itself that they've been there for so long, and they've been dedicated. They're a wealth of knowledge in the industry, and they're still there. And so, I don't know. Sometimes they started as a fleet manager and they moved to a different role. So maybe I'll get to explore different areas within operations. I really look up to our operationals director, Dean. He's been a great mentor, somebody to look up to. And so maybe eventually be an director of operations. So who knows? Again, I don't know. There's so many different opportunities that I'm excited for what the future holds.
Yeah, Dean is great. And it's wonderful to have leaders in your organization that you can look up to. It makes coming to work so much better, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were talking to a young person today and they were kind of interested in what you do, what would help them prepare themselves for a role like yours?
Oh, some schools or some different high schools have job shadowing classes where you actually get to go out and you can be mentored by somebody else that is in an industry you might be interested in. And I think that would be super helpful for somebody that's thinking about it. Talk to somebody, find somebody who's in the industry, ask them lots of questions. And if you can, job shadow, see what a day in the life would look like if you were sitting in their seat. Because I mean, that's really how you get the full effect is just kind of, again, like diving in, see what they do, hear the way they talk, what problems they have to solve. And if it is something they're like, that sounds like something I could do, something I want to do. At the same time, if they're having fun doing it, can they mess around with their employees, but at the same time get stuff done in a timely manner and be efficient? And so if that is something that you want to explore, that would be what I would suggest, is definitely finding somebody that you can either job shadow or mentor you, that you can talk to about the job.
I love that idea, just the opportunity to job shadow and to see what it's about, because a lot of young people major in business and like you did,
Yeah.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
they don't know how that can translate into the real world. I mean, you understand like working at a bank, maybe a little bit, or think about like a big corporation as a big picture, but you don't know these amazing backbone of the industry, family-owned companies that literally are just a pivotal part of our society. So you majored in business in college. Did you take any logistics classes, or did you know anything about the supply chain before getting into it?
Actually, I went through college mostly focusing on business management and marketing. And then my senior year, last semester, I quickly dropped a class and signed up for a supply chain class.
Oh,
Just
interesting.
completely out of the blue. And I was just like, I've taken all these different business classes, but not a supply chain class. I'll just take one kind of for the heck of it. And it's crazy how the Lord works. He just put me in this class, and then he knew what my future held to be part of something like this. And so that was the only experience that I had. Didn't really think about it. However, a lot of my management classes really helped as far as kind of the fleet manager role and a dispatcher and working with drivers. So thank goodness I've had that experience. But yeah, so I just got a semester of experience before I went into the actual trucking industry.
And what kind of things did you learn in your logistics class? Do you remember?
A little bit. Most of it was just, um, learning about the truck itself,
Oh,
kind of what
cool.
logistics means, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So, that's kind of what I remember. I remember, the breakdown of the truck, the trailer, a lot of vocabulary,
Oh, I love
that
this.
long. So yeah, that was kind of what that class was about. It was just a intro level to supply chain.
Yeah, I went to Purdue and I also took a logistics class. I don't even know why I took it, but I really thought it was really interesting. It was like I learned like just in time and truckload, and I had no idea like any of this stuff. But I had a great lecturer, and I just thought it was a cool class. Never knowing like 20 years later, I would actually be in the industry. So you just don't know what God has in store, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, is there anything that you wish you would have known before entering in the industry? Or is there anything, if you were talking to a 20-year-old that's kind of thinking about what they want to do for their future, anything that you would want to say before we close out?
Oh gosh. I would definitely say I think it'll surprise you. I think it'll surprise you on how large the industry is. I think I mean, you think back to when COVID hit, I mean, when shelves were empty, who were the people that were still running America? Who were the people that were still delivering freight and stuff that had to keep running? And that was the trucking industry. They truly are the backbone and keep America running. Um, you think about again the grocery store. You don't have those products without the trucking industry. So, and the opportunities that come with it. Again, like being able to be a part of something like this, being a part of something like the Elevate, being able to learn new technologies within the industry. I mean, there's just so many, again, opportunities, and don't count it out. Don't count it out. Don't think trucking's just an over the road driver. There's so much more to it. Um, and who knows, maybe over the road is something you really enjoy. So definitely look into it if you're somewhat interested in it or have even just heard about it and don't know what it means. It can be it's something you can definitely make a career out of.
Absolutely. Well, Addison, I'm so glad that you got that knock 4+ years ago to come and interview at Grand Island Express. And I'm so glad that we got to meet at the TCA conference and for your success in getting into the Elevate program. We're going to put information about the TCA Elevate program in our notes. So if you're listening and you want to apply to be a part of that, there will be a link to that in the show. And it's a great experience from everybody I've ever talked to in that group. Addison, thank you so much. Are you on LinkedIn? How can anybody reach you if they want to connect with you?
Yep. So I am on LinkedIn. My full name is Addison Stout. So I can definitely keep in touch with you there. Thank you again for having me. Again, this is a fun opportunity in itself. I am glad that you, again, we were able to meet and you took the opportunity to ask if I wanted to do something like this. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Addison. And thank you for listening to NGT Talks. And I just love having Gen Z on the show so we can really get a perspective of who they are and who we want to hire for our next generation. So thanks for listening in.